Federal agents have just uncovered one of the most sophisticated human trafficking networks ever discovered on American soil.
47 a.m., March 14th, 2026. Portland, Oregon. Federal agents just pulled 36 children out of a building that was supposed to be a school. They found them locked inside rooms with no windows. Some had not seen daylight in weeks. Others had been trafficked across 3 continents before they arrived in the Pacific Northwest. The man who ran it called himself an educator, a humanitarian, a refuge provider for Afghan migrants fleeing war zones. His real name is Rashad Kalani. And according to the FBI, ICE, and Homeland Security, he was not running a school. He was running one of the most sophisticated human trafficking operations ever discovered on American soil. This is the story of how federal agents dismantled an international trafficking cartel disguised as an educational nonprofit, how they uncovered a shadow empire that stretched from Portland warehouses to Mexican logistics hubs to Afghan smuggling corridors, and how one man used compassion as a weapon to build a multi-million-dollar trafficking machine right under the noses of local authorities. If you think this sounds impossible, you have not been paying attention. Because what they found in Portland was not just a crime ring. It was a blueprint, a model, a system designed to turn vulnerable children into commodities and turn American trust into profit. And the next part is worse. 4:32 a.m. Hawthorne District, Portland, Oregon. The air is damp and heavy. Fog rolls through empty streets. Neon signs flicker outside closed bars. The city is silent except for the low hum of engines and the crackle of encrypted radios. 42 federal agents move through the dark in coordinated formation. FBI, ICE, DIA, Department of Homeland Security, SWAT operators in black tactical gear. They carry breaching tools, thermal scanners, and warrant folders thick enough to stop bullets. They converge on 3 locations simultaneously. The first is a converted warehouse on Southeast Morrison Street, a 3-story brick building with blacked-out windows and a hand-painted sign that reads New Horizon Academy serving refugee youth since 2019. The second is a suburban home in Beaverton with reinforced doors and surveillance cameras covering every angle. The third is a commercial storage facility near the Portland International Airport, registered under the name of a logistics company that does not exist. At 4:32 a.m., all 3 doors come down at once. Flashbangs detonate. Agents pour inside like a flood. Voices shout commands in English, Pashto, and Spanish. Children scream. Adults try to run. Inside the warehouse, agents find 36 children between the ages of 6 and 16. Most are Afghan. Some are Central American. A few are Eastern European. They are housed in partitioned rooms with mattresses on concrete floors. No toys. No books. No sunlight. Just schedules, rosters, and intake documents written in coded shorthand. In the back office, agents discover steel filing cabinets packed with forged immigration papers, fake birth certificates, and asylum application templates filled out in identical handwriting. There are duffel bags stuffed with cash. $32,000 in small bills. Burner phones with SIM cards from 6 different countries. But what stops the lead agent cold is the laptop. It is encrypted, military grade. And when the forensic team cracks the first layer, they find something no one expected. A master ledger. Not just for Portland, for the entire West Coast. 9:14 a.m. FBI Cyber Forensics Division, Portland Field Office. The room smells like burnt coffee and electrical heat. Analysts sit in front of glowing monitors, pulling apart encrypted files line by line. On the largest screen, a network diagram begins to take shape. They call it Operation Refuge Shadow. It is not a trafficking ring, it is an empire. At the center, is Rashad Kalani, 53 years old. Former educator, former INGO consultant, former humanitarian coordinator in Kabul before the Taliban takeover. He arrived in the United States in 2018 on a special immigrant visa. Within 3 years, he founded New Horizon Academy, a nonprofit dedicated to resettling Afghan refugee children. On paper, it looked like charity. Grants from the state, donations from churches, partnerships with resettlement agencies. In reality, it was a trafficking pipeline. The ledger shows over 200 children processed through Portland in the last 18 months. Most came through Mexico, smuggled north by logistics networks connected to Xinjiang-style cartel operations. Kalani paid the smugglers per delivery, cash up front. No questions asked. Once the children arrived, they were placed in his academy. But they were not students. They were assets. Some were sent to labor trafficking operations, agricultural sites in eastern Oregon, meatpacking plants in Idaho, construction crews in Washington. Kalani brokered the placements and took a percentage of their wages, which were never paid to the children themselves. Others were moved into domestic servitude. Wealthy families in Seattle, San Francisco, and Los Angeles paid between $15,000 and $40,000 per child for live-in help. The transactions were disguised as adoption fees or educational sponsorships, and some, the analysts realized with growing horror, were never seen again. The files reveal coded entries labeled as high-value transfers, destinations redacted, buyers anonymous, payments made in cryptocurrency and routed through shell companies registered in Panama, the Cayman Islands, and Dubai. But what makes this different? What makes this a national security crisis is the political collusion. Kalani did not operate alone. He had protection. From the inside, his digital signature is linked to email threads with Oregon state officials, nonprofit directors, and a city councilman named Victor Emery. Emery is a rising political star in Portland, a champion of refugee advocacy, a vocal supporter of expanded resettlement programs, and according to these files, he was on Kalani's payroll. Emery received over $300,000 in campaign donations funneled through Kalani's network of front organizations. In exchange, Emery used his influence to fast-track nonprofit approvals, relax oversight inspections, and block local law enforcement investigations into New Horizon Academy. One email, dated February 2026, is especially damning. Emery writes, "Keep the pipeline clean.
I will handle the auditors. This is not corruption. This is command-level collusion. This is not negligence. It is engineer betrayal. And the operation has just begun."
5:51 a.m. Federal Command Center, Portland Field Office. Dawn breaks over the Willamette River. Inside the command center, the mood is tense and focused. A massive digital map covers the wall, showing red markers pulsing across Oregon, Washington, California, Idaho, and Nevada. Each marker represents a site connected to Operation Refuge Shadow, safe houses, transit points, labor camps, broker contacts, shell company addresses. There are 73 markers in total. The mission is clear: simultaneous takedown, maximum force, zero leaks, over 1,100 federal agents are mobilized, FBI hostage rescue teams, ICE enforcement and removal operations units, DIA tactical squads, DACE investigations units, U.S. Marshals, SWAT teams from 6 states, Black Hawk helicopters lift off from staging zones, armored vehicles roll through suburban streets, undercover units position themselves outside apartment complexes and warehouses. At exactly 6 a.m., the operation begins. In Eugene, Oregon, agents storm a farmhouse where 12 children are found working in illegal cannabis grow operations. The owner, a contractor with ties to Kalani's network, tries to flee through a back window. He is tackled in the mud before he makes it 10 feet. In Tacoma, Washington, a suburban home registered to a nonprofit shell company is raided. Agents find 8 children living in the basement. They are malnourished, sleep-deprived. One girl, no older than 10, tells agents she has not been outside in 3 months. In Boise, Idaho, a meat packing facility is surrounded. Federal agents arrest the plant manager and 2 shift supervisors. Forensic accountants find payroll records showing ghost employees. The wages were being siphoned directly into accounts controlled by Kalani's network. In Sacramento, California, agents hit a luxury estate in the hills. The homeowner, a tech executive, admits to paying $35,000 for a live-in domestic worker. The worker is a 14-year-old girl from Herat, Afghanistan. She does not speak English. She has no documentation. She has no idea where her family is. Back in Portland, agents descend on City Hall. Victor Emery is arrested in his office at 6:47 a.m. He is wearing a suit and holding a coffee cup. He does not resist. He does not speak. But his eyes tell the story. He knew this was coming. By noon, 71 arrests have been made, 89 children recovered, over $400,000 in cash seized, 16 vehicles impounded, 7 properties frozen, and the operation is not over. Because what federal agents are realizing is that Operation Refuge Shadow was not just a West Coast network. It was a node in a much larger system. 2:33 p.m. DIA Intelligence Analysis Center, Seattle Field Office. Analysts trace the money backward. They follow the wire transfers, the shell company transactions, the cryptocurrency wallets. They map the logistics. What they find is a continental trafficking corridor. Kalani's network was not importing children directly from Afghanistan. That would have been too risky, too visible. Instead, he used Mexican smuggling routes as a transit system. Here is how it worked. Children were moved out of Afghanistan through Pakistan and Iran, often with the help of corrupt border officials. From there, they were flown to Central America using falsified travel documents. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. Countries where immigration enforcement is inconsistent and bribery is routine. Once in Central America, they were handed off to logistics networks run by Mexican trafficking cartels, groups that operate with the same precision and ruthlessness as Jing. These cartels specialize in human cargo. They move people the same way they move narcotics. Hidden in trucks. Buried in shipping containers. Carried through desert routes that Border Patrol cannot monitor. The children were smuggled north through Mexico and across the U.S. border, often through tunnels or unguarded crossing points. Once inside the United States, they were transferred to Kalani's network and distributed to sites across the West Coast. The system was efficient, scalable, and nearly invisible. According to the files, Kalani's network processed between 15 and 25 children per month at its peak. That is over 250 children per year. Multiplied across similar operations in other states, the scale becomes catastrophic. But the most chilling discovery is a file labeled Phase 2. Phase 2 was Kalani's expansion plan. He intended to replicate the Portland model in 5 additional cities: Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. He had already secured nonprofit registrations in 3 of those cities. He had already recruited local partners. He had already begun negotiations with cartel logistics networks to increase the flow of children from 25 per month to 100 per month. If federal agents had not intervened, Kalani's network would have become the largest human trafficking operation in North American history. One analyst puts it simply, he was not building a criminal enterprise. He was building an industry. 7:19 p.m. ICE detention facility, Sherwood, Oregon. Rashad Kalani sits in an interrogation room. His hands are cuffed to the table. His face is calm, almost serene. He does not deny anything. He does not lawyer up. Instead, he speaks. You think you stopped something, he says, but you did not. You cannot. Because this is not about me. This is about a system, a need, a market. The agent across from him does not blink. People want cheap labor, Kalani continues. They want workers who will not complain, who will not sue, who will not organize. And they want to feel good about it. So you call it charity, you call it rescue, you call it resettlement, and everyone sleeps well at night. You traffic children, the agent says. I gave them opportunities, Kalani replies. They were going to die in Kabul or starve in refugee camps. I brought them here. I gave them work. I gave them purpose. You sold them. Kalani smiles. It is a cold smile. Empty. I connected supply and demand. That is all economics ever is. The interrogation lasts 4 hours. By the end, Kalani has provided names, routes, contacts, and financial records, not because he feels remorse, but because he believes the system will protect him, because he believes the demand will outlive the supply chain. He is wrong. March 22nd, 2026. Portland Federal Courthouse. Rashad Kalani is indicted on 63 counts, including human trafficking, child exploitation, conspiracy to commit forced labor, wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. If convicted on all counts, he faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. Victor Emery is indicted on 12 counts, including conspiracy, bribery, and obstruction of justice. His political career is over. His name is stripped from city plaques and community awards. Over the following weeks, federal agents arrest an additional 47 individuals connected to Operation Refuge Shadow, nonprofit directors, labor brokers, cartel logistics coordinators, corrupt immigration officials, wealthy buyers who thought they were untouchable. The children are placed in protective custody. Trauma counselors, translators, and child advocates work around the clock to provide care. Some will be reunited with family members. Others will be placed in foster systems or long-term care programs. But the damage is already done. The trauma is already embedded. One girl, 12 years old, tells a counselor, I thought America was supposed to be safe. Here is the part that should terrify you. Operation Refuge Shadow was not an anomaly. It was a warning. Federal investigators now believe there are dozens of similar networks operating across the United States, hidden behind nonprofits, charities, religious organizations, and advocacy groups. Networks that exploit the compassion of ordinary people and the bureaucracy of overwhelmed systems. Because human trafficking does not look like a Hollywood movie. It does not look like chains and cages. It looks like a school, a farm, a family home, a nonprofit. It looks like help. And that is what makes it so dangerous. The people who run these operations are not monsters in the dark. They are well-spoken, educated, connected. They write grant proposals and attend city council meetings. They shake hands with politicians and pose for photos with rescued children. They use the language of justice to build systems of exploitation. And until we recognize that, until we stop assuming that good intentions equal good outcomes, these networks will continue to operate in plain sight. Power does not always need violence. Sometimes it only needs silence and ambition, and a system too tired to ask the right questions. Rashad Kalani understood that. He built an empire on the assumption that no one would look too closely, that no one would question a school with a compassionate mission, that no one would connect the dots between a nonprofit director and a trafficking cartel. He was almost right. But the agents who brought him down refused to look away. They followed the trail. They cracked the encryption. They pulled the children out of the darkness, and in doing so, they proved that even the most sophisticated trafficking networks can be dismantled if we have the courage to confront them. if we have the will to investigate the uncomfortable. If we refuse to let good branding hide ugly truth. If you are still watching, tap the like button so more people see this story. Share it. Comment expose if you believe corruption like this must be dragged into the light. Because the only thing worse than knowing this happens is staying silent about it. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and never assume that evil announces itself. Sometimes it smiles, sometimes it wears a badge of compassion, and sometimes it calls